If you are a Sambo wrestler, never give up. If no one believes in your victory, keep fighting. Don't give up. That's the only way you'll become a real Sambo wrestler. You'll become a winner. Hi, this is yet another issue of FIAS official TV journal. Today we will tell you about all the most interesting events happening on the Sambo planet, as well as the people who were able to overcome themselves, overcome all the difficulties to achieve their goal. In today's program, FIAS President Vasily Shostakov on the outcome of the meeting of representatives of the Continental and National Sambo Federations with Vladimir Putin and other official news. Who got gold in Cyprus? Secret training of the Ukrainian heavyweights and other details of the Junior European Championship. I came, I saw, I conquered. The debut of a Korean wrestler at the most prestigious World Cup, Anatoly Kharlampia's Memorial. Or how did Lim Ju-yong beat the world champion from the Russian team? In our news and brief. Are all the continents ready for their championships? About the Mexican voyage of the Director for Development of FIAS, Andrei Mashanov. And how did a one-legged wrestler Anthony Robles become one of the most famous American athletes? In our Sambo Stars segment, we will get to know the dreams of a member of the Legislative Assembly of the Kamchatka region, a portrait of an 8-time world champion Svetlana Galant. In mid-March, the President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, first met with the representative of the World Sambo. On the official outcome of the meeting and the immediate tasks of Sambo, the FIAS President Vasily Shostakov.
Vasily
Borisovich, not so long time ago, there was a meeting with Vladimir Putin. How do you think, what does it mean for the future development of Sambo, of our national federations and internationally? What were the results and what does it mean for the future? First of all, I'd like to remind our viewers that Vladimir Putin is a master of sports in Sambo, champion of Leningrad, and the winner of several big all-union competitions. Therefore, he is very close to Sambo. And as a sports person in general, he is supporting all kinds of sports. But obviously, the ones he was engaged in, he loves the most. I consider this meeting a truly fateful one for Sambo. Support of such a high-ranking statesman as Vladimir Putin is a very important thing for any sport, and for Sambo also. I believe this will give a further impetus to Sambo's development not only in Russia but also abroad. This meeting was attended by representatives of the various national federations from Morocco, Belarus, Italy, and other countries. I think the fact that this meeting actually took place and we were able to bring it to attention of the representatives of national federations, this will be an added incentive for Sambo development in the world. And of course, the statement made by Vladimir Putin saying that Sambo is a kind of wrestling that deserves to become Olympic. I think it's also a very serious statement. And we will do everything in order to make it an Olympic sport. So this meeting has been positive from the standpoint of not only national but continental federations also. This meeting has a very positive purpose. I think the national federations got the signals. And continental federations, Europe, Asia, Africa and Pan-American ones, they also responded positively. But it was imperative that the National Federation learns more about this meeting. Speaking about the IOC Executive Board, soon they will consider the application of FIAS. Please tell us if everything was done right and what should we expect, what results. Let me say, first of all, of course, there's a great desire in the world for Sambo to become a member of the International Olympic Committee, to be recognized by the IOC. The application has been made with the help of a large company, a sports company called Helios. They are quite experienced in such matters. They actively promoted various sports projects. The last thing they've done is golf promotion. They have a lot of experience, so I hope they will cope with this task. For our part, we tried to take into account all the nuances. Well, it was the first time we have made an application. There may be some flaws, but I do not think they will be judged too harshly, for all the necessary IOC requirements were met. Actually, there are 3 degrees of recognition: the temporary one, then a permanent one, and the actual involvement in the program. We are still trying to master the first step: temporary recognition by the IOC. The most important event for Sambo wrestlers between 18 and 20 years old took place on an island in the Mediterranean Sea. FIAS press attaché, the world champion Natalia Yukhareva, closely watched the ups and downs of the struggle. Competing for medals in the European Championships in the age group of young boys and girls, the juniors, there were 250 participants from 22 countries of the world. Well, most of the athletes registered at the hotels, went through the credentials committee and obtained accreditations. The most eager ones took part in the Bliss workout right on the tourist beach in Limassol, which was well within walking distance from the hotel Arsinoe, where our wrestlers settled. The boys proved to be from the Ukrainian team that came to the island before any of its rivals and did it on purpose to get acclimatized. Cyprus is a dream of every athlete, I think, to take part in a competition here. The air, the mountains, the sea, Mediterranean, just a bit stuffy in the hall, I think. So went to the beach to train near the sea. It's better to train near the sea on the sand than in the hole. It's calm here, the sea, clean air, nothing that relates to the fight ahead except for us and our partners. So as not to think about it all. Because before you need to relax a little, so as not to burn out. As my coach always used to say, the worse the better, you'll get angry. While the Ukrainian Sambo wrestlers conducted their secret beach training, we decided to go to the hall, where everything was ready for the grand opening of the European Championship. The sports palace named after Spyros Kyprianou. A huge modern arena was too big for our tournament, but due to the fact that it was the first time a Sambo competition was held in Cyprus and a European level one, the local authorities agreed to the organizing committee's request and provided such a prestigious hall for Sambo, free of charge. It is a very complicated issue. But we have taken this responsibility 6 months before the crisis, and we just didn't know. The entire organization was placed upon the shoulders of Marius Andrei, the Sambo Federation of Cyprus president, and it was very difficult, but we hope that in these hard times this event will help us to further develop Sambo wrestling and to attract more children to this sport.
Πήρε τη διοργάνωση πριν, νομίζω, 6 μήνες.
Since we were able to organize the first championship, it will give us an impetus. And it should generate some interest. People should know about this sport. And I think this interest will grow with each passing day. I was told Sambo will soon become an Olympic sport. It also should generate a lot of new interest. The more so, since today the championship bouts are already held on magnificent mats donated to Cyprus by the International Federation of Samba. And to solve the Olympic problems, FIAS, together with the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, has launched a program to send our teachers and coaches to the countries which start to develop Samba. The know-how is that these physical education teachers are also professional Samba wrestlers, and after school they will be able to teach their kids Samba. There's no competition without FIAS involvement. We have given 3 mats to the Cyprus sportsmen upon which we are fighting today. It is a kind of investment that will pay for many years, even for decades ahead. I think these mats will help to open new clubs and more children will engage in Samba. And of course, FIS also provides assistance in Samba wrestlers' uniforms and referee uniforms, and Cyprus today is developing actively. Several Cyprus wrestlers will take part in the European Championship. They pin their main hope on Marilena Pakalou, who is already preparing for her semi-final showdown. The organizer of the European Championship Cyprus team needs this medal very much indeed. I think there should be some medals. We do hope for some medals, since our federation is 2 years old. But 2 years to organize the federation, to grow athletes, to hold the championship, it's a very hard task. And I think our results are really great. The fact that the Cypriots will get some medals became quite clear after the small participants of the Grand Opening showed a remarkable Samba dance to the popular tune of Gangnam Style. By the way, all of them are pupils of Marius Andreou and future champions, I'm sure. While the boys lit up on the new mats, demonstrating Samba skills acquired from Marius, another master, speed painter, has taken the black square and created, faster than lightning, a logo of the championship, a wrestler making a throw. As an artist, I watch a lot of athletes in boxing, judo, Samba. I am interested by the movement of the participants. The process of competition is interesting also. Interesting is an understatement. The competition is a real spectacle, where the invisible director invites participants and the audience to empathize with all the emotions generated during the fights. For Marilena Pakalou, the decisive moment came. If she wins, she will be able to compete for gold at this prestigious tournament. To lose is to receive a bronze award. What will it be? See it for yourself. It was important to fight with a very strong opponent. I did everything I could, but lost. Samba gives more freedom than judo. I love Samba and will take part again. This is a very good experience participation in this tournament. Meanwhile, a fierce struggle took place for the overall team championship. It's more and more difficult for the Russians to maintain their advantage. In men's competition, the Georgian juniors bested the Russians quite confidently. And what about our recent acquaintances from the Ukrainian team? It seems their beach training gave positive results. They are sure to get some medals. But which ones? And if Sergei Zverev is confident enough in crushing his Armenian rival, Sargsyan, winning gold, the final fight of his fellow Roman Goncharyuk against the Georgian heavyweight Kybordzalidze develops dramatically. The Ukrainian, losing by 4 points, goes into attack and seriously injures his knee. Look, he practically can't step on his right foot. No chance, it seems. But he does not come off the mat. He does not give up. This is not wrestling, it's a real fight. The Ukrainian attacks again. A 2-point throw immediately followed by a hold. Roman presses his opponent into the mat and wins with a score of 6-4. That's how they become champions. I can't express my emotions. I had a serious injury a while back. They made me an artificial ligament, and this is what I injured again now in the final. The coach showed me that it was not necessary to fight in the final. But we always fight to the last, like the real Cossacks we are. So the results? Hello to everyone in Khersisk. We wish Roman a speedy recovery and will look forward to seeing this guy at the Universiade in Kazan. And now it's time to sum the results of the European Championship. About the results. The youth Samba team leader has changed. Georgia first place, Russia second, Ukraine third. It tells us that development trend is quite good. There is no such hegemony as earlier. And each country is ready to fight. And we did see many interesting finals. I mean Moldova, Ukraine, Belarus and Georgia. So speaking of the development of Sambo to date, let's say the others are reaching the level of our team, and the skill level is good. These boys and girls has shown us that other countries has begun to work seriously, and that's where the competition is coming from. I hope at the next World Cup we'll show better results. There are Asia and Pan America, they will take part, and it will be very difficult to compete in Europe. Natalia Yukhareva, Evgeny Petrov, Limassol, Cyprus, for the FIS TV magazine. During the traditional tournament, which today is the most prestigious of the World Cup stages and is called the Memorial of Anatoly Kharlampiev, the Samba veterans laid flowers at the grave of one of the founders of our sport. They paid tribute and gave thanks to the great Samba promoter, Anatoly Arkadyevich Kharlampiev.
Заслуженный мастер спорта Анатолий Аркадьевич Харлампиев – энтузиаст и пропагандист самбо. Он обучает приемам этой борьбы студентов Московского энергетического института.
Kharlampiev, a man whose life is inseparable from Samba. He was one of the most talented students of Vasily Obshepkov, who taught him the secrets of judo. And in 1934, due to illness, Obshepkov handed him his wrestling and martial arts club. Kharlampiev was a locomotive that moved Samba into the masses, and made it a popular modern form of martial arts. He continued the work of his teacher in collecting and organizing the skills and terminology of Samba. It was Kharlampiev who proved the necessity of Samba as an independent sport, which led to the decree number 633 of November 16, 1938, on the development of freestyle fighting. That's how they called Samba 75 years ago. Since then, the day of November the 16th is considered the official birthday of Samba.
Прошло всего 20 секунд. Каращук применяет специальный прием. Довольно, сдаюсь. В этих соревнованиях студент Каращук выполнил норму мастера спорта СССР.
Samba is a self-defense without arms. The Samba wrestling, a kind of wrestling that prepares you for self-defense without arms.
Еще в XIII веке говорил такие замечательные слова. Неопытный львенок боится лисы, воспитанный в холле, стараниями жен, от первой же схватки сбежит, устрашен. Охотой, борьбою, метанием стрел, занявшись, подросток становится смел. Таково воспитательное значение всех видов спорта и особенно борьбы.
And now to our correspondent who has witnessed the Moscow World Cup Kharlampiev's memorial. A beautiful, dynamic, emotional and a truly useful sport, Samba. For the last 3 years, the International Samba Federation has been moving rapidly in the direction of the Olympic Games. The Samba wrestlers will perform for the first time at the Kazan University. For the second time in a row, they will participate in sports court games, which will be held this autumn at St. Petersburg. Step by step, Samba is getting closer to its goal. Today, many of the best world fighters come here. They prepare for the World Championship, for the European Championship, and obviously for any sportsman to come here to such a prestigious tournament as Kharlampiev's Memorial, it's just great. The minimum number of member countries required for submission to the IOC is more than achieved. As the Russian President Vladimir Putin, himself a master of sports in Samba, Samba has already crossed the national borders of Russia and CIS and has become international. Samba wrestling is cultivated in 83 countries on 5 continents. I think today Samba has got everything it needs, and there's enough member countries. The international growth is good, and we meet all the standards as to the number of national federations. We've made our first application, filled out the entry book, all requirements are met, and we are waiting for the consideration of our application, which will happen at the meeting of the Executive Committee of the IOC in St. Petersburg this summer. But this is our tomorrow, so to say, and today, at one of the most prestigious events of the World Cup stage, the Anatoly Kharlampiev's Memorial, not only the most seasoned wrestlers from neighboring countries have met, but also the representatives from the more exotic, for the Samba fans, countries: Hungary, Poland, Morocco, Slovakia, South Korea, 26 countries in all. In a word, this time the Moscow World Cup was something really amazing. I really do like Samba. As a child I practiced Samba, like many others I guess. Then my mom dragged me into Samba and I liked it. This sport was more to my liking, dynamic and interesting. I have already participated in the Kazan competition, so I took a drive through Moscow. I love everything here. It's fun. For Lim Ju-yong, it is a first Samba competition ever. It would not be surprising if this young Korean did not fully understand where he was going to, and possibly, maybe not realize it even now. However, it may be Lim, quite unexpectedly for everyone present, including himself, defeated the Japanese athlete and an experienced Romanian one, making his way to the final against the world champion of 2010 Vladimir Prikashikov, the Russian team. But that was not the end of the incredible adventures of this Korean in Russia. And now, before the decisive fight, under strict supervision of the entire delegation, Ju-young began a full energy-intensive workout. Managing to find the only Korean-speaking interpreter, our filming crew has found out the reason for such a decision. Lim has learned to make leg locks and, most importantly, free himself from them. Yes, he learned it from scratch, right before the finals, because leg locks are the most dangerous weapons of Samba wrestlers. The Korean simply didn't know how to do it, and of course it cannot be learned quickly, so before the final match, Ju-young was instructed not to give the Russian any chance for a leg lock. He did as he was told, and he won. I just came and won. I wanted to win. I trained. Samba is growing in Korea. I think it should be in the Olympic program. However, not all the debuts have been successful. Roxanne, one of the sweetest and most beautiful participants, by right, resigned almost immediately. Despite this, the Romanian has not ceased to be optimistic. Judo I've practiced for 12 years. But now more and more athletes are moving to Samba. Why not an Olympic sport? Don't know. Probably Samba was considered a very dangerous sport. But as it may become an Olympic sport, I think it's not considered dangerous anymore. For the Moroccan athlete, the first fight also proved a short one. I have a lot of friends who also practice Samba, and they invited me. I came to Samba and stayed there. There are many techniques, a lot of emotion. It was my first competition, no luck, but I will try again. Year to year, the number of people engaged in Samba is growing. The sport is developing, as Samba wrestling is not only a healthy way of life, but also security. What do you associate self-defense with? It is not surprising that the majority of the Americans would have presented a shotgun or a pistol as an answer. But for our athletes, the main protection is Samba, the original purpose of which was self-defense without arms. For 75 years, the techniques of this sport have been saving lives of tens of thousands of people around the world. So how is it possible not to love Samba? Practice Samba. Win your day.
Pratiquez le sambo. Win your day.
Win your day. Lubi sambo. Win your day.
삼보를 하세요. Win your day.
Mary Soria, that's sambo. Win your day.
Тренирайте самбо. Win your day.
Practicați sambo. Win your day.
The month of May is the time for continental Samba competitions. They will be held in Africa, then Europe, Asia, and finally in the Pan America. Now let's talk about the preparations for these championships. We are ready for the European Samba Championship to be held in Italy. Everything is ready for judging. We expect about 30 delegations from 30 European countries. I can assure you it will be all right. We have already booked 3 hotels for the delegations and separate hotels for the referees. We have got great support from the municipality and from the head of region, as from the National Olympic Committee as well. I think it would be a great event, as we are also supported by the International Samba Federation and the European ones. FIS gave us 3 magnificent mats, and they will look very nice in the hall. I hope you will find the weather gorgeous, and everyone will be glad to be in Italy and at the European Championship. Africa, in terms of martial arts, is one of the less developed continents, but the potential of this region is huge. Watch these hot guys from Burkina Faso, they wrestle on the ground. The techniques are very similar to Samba. They are clothed in shorts and a belt. Just put a jacket on and hey, you got a Samba wrestler. By the way, this national wrestling style is even called like Samo wrestling. Got it? Just a single letter is missing, B, and you get Samba. If you guys just took a bit of training in holds and leg locks, you would get a ready participant of the African and Arabian Samba Championship. The Continental Championship will be held in the capital of Morocco. By the way, it's not the first time Casablanca holds such tournament. Here they are past masters not only in entertaining, but also in holding competitions at tourney level. As the president of the African Samba Federation, Mr. Scully, informed us, this championship will hold 2 seminars under supervision of the FIAS, one for the referees and another one dedicated to the rules and the organization of competitions. It would not hurt to invite the best Burkina Faso fighters to attend these workshops first. We hope to get a video report from Korean capital where the Asian Championship will be held, but the tournament in Pan America will be the final one, in the middle of June. Right now you'll see how one of the local federations, tournament organizers, prepares for these events. At the sports complex Guelatao in the Mexican capital, a seminar for coaches and athletes took place. For 2 days, 105 participants, representing 15 major clubs in 10 Mexican states, shared what they already knew and learned some new things about Samba under the supervision of the FIAS director for the development, the honored coach of Russian Federation, Andrei Mashanov. The coaches stepped to the mat, the same ones who learned Samba from Emilio Alonso 10 years ago. In 2003, he was elected the first president of the Pan American Samba Federation, and the first Pan American Championship was held in this hall almost 10 years ago. The current president of the Sambo Federation of Mexico, Antonio Ramirez, spoke about the great role of Alonso in the development of Samba on the continent. His club in Acapulco has the status of the Academy of Samba, created in the image and likeness of the famous Russian Academy of Samba, Isttsova. Besides the training, these days the first National Samba Conference was conducted, where representatives of 15 clubs discussed the current issues, the development of Samba in the country, and in particular the participation of Mexican wrestlers in the competitions, held under the auspices of the FIAS. One of the most important tasks to be resolved in the near future is getting the official recognition of Mexican Samba by the Mexican Sports Ministry and the National Olympic Committee. There is also a strategic task, the implementation of large-scale project and national program for Samba development. A truly enormous potential here, because of Mexico's population of 112 million, making the prospects of Samba growth in this region very tempting. Next, an amazing story of Anthony Robles, an example of exceptional courage and endurance. The fact is, Anthony Robles was born one-legged. At the age of 3, he refused to wear a prosthesis and told his parents he wants to live like a normal person. In the 8th grade, Robles started training as a wrestler. His perseverance and determination paid off. Anthony won the Arizona School Children Championship twice, with a score of 46 wins to 0 losses. His results while at school are as follows: 129 wins, 15 losses. In 2008, Robles went to the University of Arizona and began his career in student wrestling. He won the Pacific Conference Championship 3 times, and in the final year of study in 2011 became the US student champion in the category of up to 55 kilograms. He finished his wrestling career with 122 wins to 23 losses, the 8th best result as to the number of victories in the history of Arizona. After graduation, Anthony Robles began giving public lectures, motivating people with disabilities. Now he is one of the most recognizable athletes in the United States. Anyone will agree, the story is amazing, but not unique. In the 1970s and 80s, the one-armed Sambo wrestler Dmitry Dashko had earned the title of Master of Sports of the USSR. That's how self-confidence and fighting spirits help to achieve a goal. Today in our Sports Stars rubric, a great female athlete graced with unique endurance and original techniques. Just imagine, during her sports career, she had circumnavigated the globe a dozen times. That's because our heroine lives literally at the edge of the world.
Наша справка.
A little fact sheet. Svetlana Galant, born in 1973 in Chisinau, Moldova, USSR. Honored Master of Sports. An 8-time world champion and European champion in Sambo. Placed 7 at the Atlanta Olympic Games in 1996 in judo competition. Married, her spouse Aslan is also her personal coach. A member of the Legislative Assembly of Kamchatsky Krai. A Sambo coach. Has ambitious goals. I hope to raise the Olympic Sambo champions. From early childhood, Svetlana was a very active and mischievous child. Parents were constantly summoned to school because their daughter has beaten up some boy again. The energy splashed off the edge, so she got into sports quite early. She had tried swimming first, then basketball, but it didn't attract the red-haired Helen. So it went on until... Then a friend came and said, "Sveta, let's go." And I say, "Well, let's see." I remember the first time I came to the sports hall, and there was a crowd, a full house, no for an apple to fall. And then it turned out I liked it, a contact sport. I liked that the coach was interested in me. He paid attention to me as an athlete. That's when my love for this sport was born. It's interesting that my first steps were in Sambo wrestling, and my first sports title is a Master of Sports in Sambo. More than a quarter century has passed since these first steps in Sambo. These were the years of hard training, disappointments and joys, victories and defeats, serious injuries and Olympic hopes. In general, all the things without which there can be no champion's character. Her love for sports and for Sambo wrestling was a constant. I think Sambo is a very dynamic sport. It has room to grow, the wide range of different throws. There's always some place to grow, something to aim at in Sambo. There are ways of development, and so I'm in love with Sambo, and I try to tell everybody that Sambo is a sport with a great future. Recently, Vladimir Putin met with the representative of Sambo 70 and our president, Yeliseyev. I think we have great prospects for the development of Sambo in Russia and promoting it at the Olympics. I tell all my pupils, whom I train in Kamchatka, that I try to make them not just decent people, the Olympic champions in Sambo wrestling. The coaching has become natural for Svetlana. She began with consultations, then became involved, and now Svetlana Galant is working with children on the permanent basis. The experience gained over the years helps her to discover every child's talent. I believe that coaching is a very hard profession. It's like a long-term project in which you invest and invest. And at some point he fires off or he goes into the shadows. But the coach always hopes for the best, that his pupil will be the best. He will become an Olympic champion or a world champion, at least. Maybe an 8-time champion, like me. So I say to all my pupils, we must strive for the best. No matter how high you climbed, you must overestimate yourself, always striving to push the limit even higher. And to be the best in your chosen sport, in your job, to be a leader. These leadership qualities in sports and in life were appreciated by Svetlana's compatriots, who trusted her with a parliamentary mandate. Today, Svetlana is a member of the Legislative Assembly of the Kamchatka region. A fate to be envied, but that's only if you are ready for a tight schedule. The day starts early with a personal training, then the deputy's duties, then work with the children, and, at the end of the day, another workout. Not everyone will be able to carry such a load. There was a time in my life when I was injured, a lateral ligament rupture, and thought the sport was finished. The doctor told me he could make me walk, but that's all. However, we sat with my coach and thought it over. In 6 months we went out and won the Russian championship with a clear advantage. And then I went to the World Cup and made everyone easily, standing on my leg. And that's considering I had 3 iron balls dangling in my leg. I consider this my greatest victory, even remembering the time when I placed 7 at the Olympics in judo. Of course, like any athlete, Svetlana was anxious to go to the Olympics, and when she felt such an opportunity presented itself, she literally grabbed it with her teeth. The girl from Kamchatka, changing her kimono for jacket, has become the leader of the national judo team and went on to the Olympic mat in Atlanta. As they say, he is a bad soldier who does not dream of becoming a general. Just beginning to practice sports, I was anxious to get to the Olympics. And when I felt this could happen, I grabbed this chance hands and teeth. I took part in all competitions, gaining rating. And when I realized that I was going to the Olympics, that I can represent Russia at the Olympics, then I have spent all my strength, all my health, all my abilities to prove that I really am the best. And I really wanted to prove I can do it. In the first fight, I fought the Olympic champion. I've lost, but only just. And we fought very hard, and then she came to me and asked me, "Where are you from?" I told her I'm just a master of the sports. She was very surprised and asked me why it was so. Just a master of sports from somewhere in Kamchatka. She did not even know where Kamchatka is. And I fought her. And then, as luck would have it, I got Khantai and lost the fight for the 5th place and was 7th, and I was very proud and happy that I went to the Olympics. I was not just an extra and made a good showing. And I think this is the most memorable moment of my whole life. Today our heroine is the most famous and the most titled athlete in the Far East of the Russian Federation. Yes, she is an 8-time world champion, European champion, the winner of many major tournaments, but each successive victory is harder to get. I'd say for me every year is hard, especially if you're a multiple champion, and more people are looking at you intently, studying your technique. Some say, "We know you by heart." I reply, "Welcome," but so far no one has beaten me with a clear advantage. And not just because I'm an open, accessible person and can easily be studied on my videos, but because I am a complex person and I can make any throw in spite of my young age. I aim for the best and try to learn any new throw so as to surprise my opponents with better and better techniques. When you consider that a woman is a cake with a twist, it's clear she's harder to fight than men. The mysteries of the female mind are many, and it's very difficult to study them on camera. The secret is our heroine always wants to be the best. That's Svetlana Galant for you. Unbendable, bold, with a leader's character. I just want to be the best. And looking back, I see only the brightest moment. I think in the history of Sambo wrestling, I'll be remembered as a cute, red-headed young athlete. Dear friends, this was another issue of the FIAS TV journal. Next time we will learn the details of the Continental Championship among adults. Our TV crew will go to Italy for the European Championship. Follow the latest news on the official website www.sambofis.org. And remember, never give up.